Hello, my name is Kaysie Atkins. I am the Family and Consumer Science Extension Agent for Sevier County. I want to welcome you to Day 3 of Sevier County Saves Week. I hope that you enjoy today's presentation brought to you by Marc Robertson from SmartBank. We are glad that you can join us on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Without further ado, let's dive into savings and debt with Marc Robertson.
All right. What I'm going to do first is talk about banking products, all banks, and I'm assuming most credit unions offer about the same thing. So, of course, you got your checking accounts. Each bank generally has a free checking account. So if you're paying for a service, you may want to look into that to see what they would be able to offer you that you wouldn't have to have a monthly fee. So that's one way to start your savings. Or if you're old enough, if you're generally 50 or older, then the banks generally have an account that, because of your knowledge and years spent on this earth, you get a free account, and it has some perks with it. So that's a couple of things right there that you might want to think about. Of course, you have a regular savings account that generally has a minimum of $50. As long as you have $50 in the savings account or more, the account itself is free. There's no charges for that. If you fall below the $50, then you get a monthly service fee charged against that. That's your basic. You got a savings account. That's something you can come in once a quarter. Well, excuse me, once a month. You 4 times during a quarter that you can transfer money out of the savings account into your checking, or just take money out of the account. The next product would be a money market. A money market is just a fancy checking account that pays you a little bit more than a regular checking account, with the exception that you're only allowed to write out 6 checks per month. It pays you more than a regular checking account would, but it still gives you the flexibility to be able to get to your money if you need it. The next thing would be CDs. CDs is one of the main ways that the banks let you have savings. They'll pay you more than they would for a regular checking account, savings account, or a money market, because you're buying an instrument from the bank. You're giving this amount of money to the bank for 30, 60, 90 days, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 2 years, 24 months, 36 months, 48 months, or 5 years. That's all the different products that generally all banks offer you. If you're looking at trying to, get more for your money, but still have access to it, you might look at doing a 30-day CD. Every 30 days, it would come up and be able to take money out or put money in. Once the CD is set for the term, you can't take money out of it, or you can't put money into it during that time. If you do take money out, generally speaking, they will charge you a fee, or it costs you some of your interest for being able to pull that money out. So each time that you have a CD mature, it gives you 10 days in which to pull money out of it or add money to it, and then resets for the next term that you're wanting. CDs pay the most of the banks in banking, so that's one way you're getting there. I wanted to talk to you about also, besides, once you get these accounts established, how do you get there? So you all have automatic money being taken out of your check or your payroll each time, and you would need to talk to your HR department about setting that up. But you could open up an account with your bank. I would start with a regular savings account. You'd start with that $50, have it in there. It's a free account at that point, and then build up. And what I suggest is that you take and increase that amount that you're taking out. If you can only afford $5 to to come out of your payroll each time. Start with that $5, take it out, put it in that savings account, let it build up. In over a year, you'll be surprised how much money you got. That way, if something happens, something breaks, get a flat tire, breaks, or the car breaks down or whatever, you have some money to fall upon to fix it without having to go borrow the money. You can also a CD generally requires $1,000 to open up a CD. A money market requires $2,500. That's the minimum for a money market account. So if you're starting out small, you can build up to these. But I will tell you, if you need to borrow money and you have the money in the bank, you can borrow the money against your savings account or your CD much cheaper than you can borrow it any other way. Most banks do not charge a fee for the loan that you get on that. If you're borrowing against your own money, it's generally 2% above whatever the bank is paying you for that savings account or CD. So once again, that's the cheapest way of getting money. Also, a great way to start if you don't have any credit, how to get your credit started. I've taken a lot of young people, did my son this way. Set him up a savings account, had the money in there. He borrowed the money. We put the money back into the savings account. I know that sounds a little strange, but we took the $1,000, put it in there, did him a loan for the $1,000, put the $1,000 back in the savings account, and then put it on an automatic debit to where that payment was paid each month, and it came right out of that savings account. He never had to touch it. He never had to do anything, and it just paid everything on like clockwork, and that got his credit started. He went from having a zero credit score, no credit score, to by the end of the first year, he was a 675. 675 is a halfway decent credit score. So that's something to think about. If you have had issues with your credit in the past, that's a good way to get started. The bank doesn't pull your credit. We're not asking about your income. We're not asking a lot of different things because you're borrowing against your own money. So if you've had some issues, that's a good way to get everything started back. And if somebody needs to ask questions about that, we can talk about that a little bit later. I want to also encourage you when you do get a pay increase. You all get an annual increase in salary, or if you change positions, you may get a pay raise in that. That is the perfect time to start looking at how much can I increase the amount of money that I'm putting into a savings account or your retirement. Under the new, I think under your all's new retirement platform, you do a 401k. So the amount of money you put in there, the more you put in, the longer you have it in there, the greater chance it's going to grow and do much better. Plus, if you do a traditional our 401k, it is pre-tax, which means it lowers your overall income, so that the increase that you get, you could have put that all into the retirement fund, and you would still basically get the exact same amount of money that you were getting before, but all that would go towards your retirement fund. So can't do that every single year, but if you did that ever so often, if you have a pay increase and you're doing okay with the income that you have, I would suggest that you do that. Especially, take a little bit, put it into your savings account, put in some in your retirement. If they're matching you up to a certain point, if you do not take advantage of getting that up to where they're matching you, then you're leaving money you're leaving money on the table that the county would give you. So if they match at 4% or 5% or whatever they match, you need to try to work your way up to that. You might not be able to start today and do it, but like I said, next time you get a pay increase, take that pay increase and put it into that retirement. Start building that each time, raise it each time you get a pay increase. That way you can work up to at least what they're matching, and then you go from there. So hope that makes sense. If somebody's got questions, we can talk a little bit more about that. Um, that's what I would suggest. Um, Also a good way to save is to try to get rid of your debt. I know that's sort of strange for a loan officer to tell you to get rid of your loans, but if you have credit cards or car payments or something other like that, if you can work to paying extra on them to get rid of that debt, that's a way of being able to take that extra money. If you're having a car payment and you get the car paid off, don't just let that money go back into your regular checking account and you start using it. Take that money and sock it away into that savings account each month. So if your car payments $350, $400 a month, $500 a month, whatever it is, take that money instead of using it, actually put that into your savings account, because that car is going to die at some point. You're going to have to fix it. You're going to have to buy a new car. If you've taken that money and started and put it into your savings account, when you go to buy a new car, you can, one, have a bigger down payment to try to keep your payment lower. Plus, you could stop having that money taken out of your check out of your pay and put it back into your pay to where it goes into your checking account to where you can afford that payment on the vehicle again. Much easier than coming out of just your regular salary. So if you're used to it, so that's a good way to try to prepare for the next vehicle, and at the same time build up your savings to where you've got more available if something happens and car breakdown or whatever. Um, Little things like that you can also take and pay if you've got credit card debt. I've advised people for years to take the smallest credit card that you have, and that payment, whatever that payment is, take as much as you can and pay extra on that each month. When that one gets paid off, if your minimum payment is $25 and you're able to pay another $50 on it. So now you're paying $75 on it each month. You get that little credit card paid off. Take that full $75 that you were paying, move on to the next one. Take the payment that you were paying on that, the minimum payment, and pay that $75 on top of that to that account until you have it paid off, and just keep working on each one of them until they go away. I don't advise you just to close the accounts all at once when you get something paid off. That hurts your credit score. It shows that your availability of unsecured debt availability goes down. And when it does that, that actually hurts your credit score. So you need to keep them open, and maybe once you get out of the debt that you're in, use them every once in a while. You know, buy a tank of gas, pay it off at the end of the month. Um, buy groceries or buy something that you need, and then pay it off each month. And and that's another way you can use those debit cards or credit cards. Excuse me. You can use those credit cards to buy something you need, and as long as you pay it off within the grace period, there's no interest charged. So you need something on Monday and you get paid on Friday. Well, you could get it with that credit card, and then when you get paid and that bill comes in, just go ahead and write that check and pay it off. That's a good way of not dipping into your savings, and being able to get what you need at the time you need it. Hope that sort of gives you some ideas of what to do. I can talk about loans and mortgages and all kinds of other wonder stuff if somebody has a question. But if anybody has any questions about the savings accounts and what you can do and how to do that, I'd be glad to try to answer those questions. Or if somebody thinks of another topic, I could try my best to answer that. So, anybody got any questions?
All
Okay.
right. Well,
Okay.
Thank you so much, Mark.
Well, I threw a lot out there pretty quick. Hopefully everybody caught all that. And hopefully they learned something. I have, if you want to, I can give you my phone number. My office phone number is 865-868-0625. If somebody has some questions, please feel free to give me a call. Once again, 865-868-0625. Maybe something I didn't cover, or you want more in depth and didn't want to ask in front of everybody, that's fine. Just give me a call. If I'm unable to answer, please leave me a message and I'll call you back as soon as I can. But
We have a couple questions in the chat, Mark.
okay.
I'll go ahead and read the first one. Would you recommend paying the smaller amount over the highest interest rate?
Well, yes, because well, you you could do it either way. The reason I always say start with the smallest one is because if you get that one paid off, then that one totally goes away. Even if it's a small interest rate, you're still sitting there paying it. So the more you can build up to pay off the bigger one, the faster you can. Because if the minimum payment's quite a bit, if you're only paying just a little bit on it, then that doesn't take you down very fast, if that makes sense. But like I said, through the years, that's what I've always recommended everybody to start with the smallest one, pay it off as fast as they can, move on to the next one. And like I said, by the time you get to the quote last one, hopefully you're making a pretty good size payment and you can see that interest rate, what is being charged each month going down instead of staying up there at a higher rate. And rates are, especially on credit cards, rates are pretty high. So I understand why you're asking that question, but I still recommend the get rid of that smaller one as fast as you can and just pour everything you can into each one to where you can get rid of it as soon as you can.
All right, thank you. And then also our second question, could you go into details about the savings in terms of building credit?
Well, it's really pretty easy. You open up a savings account. Like I said, the minimum is $50. So if you start with that and then build up, the minimum loan for most banks, I've worked at a couple others in the county, so that's my experience. So is $1,000 is the minimum loan amount. So once you build your savings account or a CD up to the $1,000, then you can come in and borrow that. You don't have to do, like I said, and take that $1,000 and put it back in to let it make its payments. You can take that $1,000 and to go pay off that credit card that we were just talking about, or pay on that credit card to reduce it. Once again, right now on a savings account loan, you're looking at less than 2.5% on a loan. So that's much cheaper than your credit card bill. What they're charging you. A lot of them are charging anywhere from 18 to 24% or more. So hopefully that makes sense. But it's really pretty simple. The way we do it, you have a little application that you fill out, literally putting your name, address, social security number, and your email address and your phone number in, and sign a couple of spots, and then we have that savings account open, or the CD. And once that's open, we can make that happen. It's a couple of day process, but it's pretty simple. We give you the money, and you can deposit in your account. You could go, fix your car, pay off credit cards, or do whatever you want with the money. Or like I said, if you're trying to build your credit, I'd suggest you put it back into the savings account and then just put that auto debit on there and just let it go each time. That way you don't have to think about it and it's paid on time.
Right. And then we also had another follow-up question. Would high yield savings accounts be a good way to do that as well?
Yes, I mean same difference. You're just going to pay if if you're getting paid a higher rate, then the bank's going to charge you the 2% over whatever you're being paid. The money sits there and still earns interest income, just like the loan does not exist. So you're still earning the better rate. It's just you're paying a little bit more.
All right. Do we have any more questions in the chat? Oh, at what point does it make more sense to have a money market account over a CD or savings?
Well, you're going to get paid more for the CD than you are in the money market. So here's what I would suggest. To start out, if you don't have a savings account, I would start with a regular savings account and build up. Okay. And once you have the $1,000, you can start talking about a savings account. But you got to remember, or excuse me, a CD. You can start thinking about the CD, but you got to remember, if you lock that CD in for a year, you can't get to that money unless you break the CD, cash in the CD, and then the bank's not going to give you all of the interest. They're going to take the money, they're going to take the interest back from you. So you really, when you buy a CD, it's money that you don't really need unless something goes extremely wrong. Okay. Versus if you have it in a savings account, it's available. So that's why you keep some money in your savings account, what you need. Once you build up to you got $2,500 or more, okay, then that's when I would start talking about a money market. So if I had $5,000 in my regular savings account, then I would probably look at switching that over to a money market. Have the $5,000 in there. You got to remember you are only available 2,500, because if you fall below the 2,500, then they're going to start charging you a monthly fee for it. So if you switch that over to that money market and you get down to that 2,500, that's when you need to close out the money market and put it back into a regular savings account. Okay. So the money market just gives you the availability to be able to write a check instead of having come to the bank. So it's a long process to get there if you're trying to build up to it. But savings account, online banking, you can switch the money from your checking account, from your savings account to your checking account. Vice versa, you can, if you've got extra money in your checking account, you can switch it to your savings account or the money market. Either way, when you have the online banking. But the way I do it is my regular savings account is just like, if I'm going to need money for something other, flat tire, need a set of tires or whatever, I'm taking it out of my savings account, put it in my checking account. A money market, because it earns more, that's where I'm trying to keep some money in case something big happens that I'm not planning on. I don't try to keep an awful lot of money in there, but quite a bit more than the 2,500. And then once I get that and feel comfortable there, that's when I would buy a CD, because I've sort of got my emergency money between my savings account and my money market. If something happens, I've got pretty much everything basically taken care of. And then that way the CD is there. I don't really need this money. I'm going to let it grow. I'm not putting it in an investment. I think you talk about investments tomorrow with Jonathan Johnson, where that money is strictly, I'm not going to need this for a long time. I can let it invest and grow. Okay. So you're talking all kinds of different stages of money and when you need it in these different products. Regular savings accounts, if I need something, I'm running short of my checking account this month, I'm going to pull out of my regular checking or savings account and deposit in my checking account. I have a major car problem, and there's not enough in my savings account to cover that. That's when I would go to my money market, pull money out of there to fix the vehicle. Okay, kind of thing. And then if my car totally died and I had to go buy a new car and I needed cash money to put down on it, or I just wanted to pay cash, that's when I would use the CD. And that's maybe when I would come in and borrow money against the CD to buy the car and pay for it that way. And then that way, when the CD matures, I could decide whether I want to just cash in the CD and pay off the car, or I could set it up on monthly payments and get the better interest rate. So hopefully answer that question. It didn't confuse them. If they got more questions, more than willing to try to answer.
I hope that you enjoyed today's presentation. If you have any questions or comments related to the topic, please don't hesitate to contact our office at 865-453-3695. And remember, we're better together. Have a great day. Bye.